In this video, we are going to look at how to solve quadratic equations and how to find the turning point of a curve. This was a question that came in last year's grade 12 exam. Okay, so question 22, part A said, solve the equation. So part A, when you look at this equation, because it has a degree, it has a power of 2, it means this equation is a quadratic equation. So we have x squared is equal to 4x minus 3 squared. All right, since x squared is a square number, 4 is a square number, and everything that is in the brackets is being squared, so it means for us to solve this equation, first of all, let's eliminate the powers. Okay, so we're going to do that by introducing square roots on both sides, like this. Okay, so this and that will go. Then we'll have x is equal to, the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. Then this and that will also go. Okay, then what will remain is x minus 3. All right, so the square root of, so remember, quadratic equations have two solutions. So that's why when you said the square root of 4 is plus or minus 2. All right, so this means that you're going to have x is equal to positive 2x minus 3, or x is equal to negative 2, x minus 3, like this. All right, at this stage, we expand the brackets, we open the brackets, so we're going to have x is equal to 2 times x is 2x, then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, or x is equal to negative 2 times x is negative 2x, then negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Okay, so at this stage, we collect like terms together. So we're going to subtract 2x on both sides of this equation. Again, here we want to collect like terms together because this is negative 2x. We'll add 2x on both sides of this equation. Then we're going to have x minus 2x is negative x is equal to, this becomes a 0, negative 6, or negative, or actually this is we're adding both sides, sorry, we're adding both sides 2x. So x plus 2x, this will be 3x is equal to, this becomes a 0, you have a 6, like this. So meaning, if we divide by negative 1 on both sides here, we're going to have x is equal to 6, or divide by 3 both sides, you have x is equal to 2. So now we can conclude and say x is equal to 2, or x is equal to 6. So this was the answer. Part B says the diagram shows the sketch of the graph y is equal to negative 4 minus x squared, cutting the x-axis at A and B. So this curve is cutting the x-axis at A and B. Okay, so the question, part A, says find the coordinates of A. The coordinates of A. Okay, so what we have to know is that along the x-axis, the y-coordinate is 0. So already here we are having the y-axis being equal to 0. Okay, so meaning for us to find the x-coordinate, we are going to equate this given equation. So we have the equation y is equal to negative 4x minus x squared. Okay, so because Along the x-axis, the y-coordinate is 0, meaning where there is y here, we are going to substitute a 0. So in other words, we are going to equate this equation to 0. So we are going to have negative 4x minus x squared is equal to 0. All right, then we solve. We can solve by factorization here. So the highest common factor here is negative x. So negative 4x divided by negative x is 4, positive 4. Then negative x squared divided by negative x is positive x is equal to 0. Okay, so when you have this, it's either negative x is equal to 0 or 4 plus x is equal to 0. All right, so here we're going to have x is equal to 0 or, so you are solving for x, so meaning you have to remove this positive 4 by additive inverse. So we're going to subtract a 4 here. So what we've done on the left, we also do it on the right. So we are going to have x is equal to, this is a 0 now. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Okay, now you have two values of x. You have x is equal to 0 and x is equal to negative 4. So when you look at this is a 0 here. This is the xy plane. Now the origin here is a 0. And when you go to the right, the numbers are positive. And then when you go to the left, the numbers are negative. So meaning the coordinates of A will be negative 4. So negative 4 belongs to A coordinate. The second part of this question says find the turning point of the graph. Okay, so the turning point of the graph is the point, this point here, where the graph is turning. So they want you to find the coordinates at this point. Okay, so how are you going to find the coordinates at that point? All right, so for us to find the coordinates of the turning point of this graph, first of all, let's find the x-coordinate. So the x-coordinate is given by the formula. So this is part 2. The x-coordinate is given by the formula negative b over 2a. Okay, so this is very important. So remember, we are relying on this equation. So the equation is y is equal to negative 4x minus x squared. So we need to find the values of a and b. So the value of a is always the coefficient of x squared. So in this case, the coefficient of x squared, we have an invisible 1 here. So is it negative 1? Then b is always the coefficient of x. So in this case, we have negative 4. So we're going to replace or substitute in this equation to find the x coordinate. So we're going to have negative, this negative is this one. Then the value for b is negative 4. So I'm going to say negative 4. Don't just write direct here. If you have a negative number, put it in brackets to avoid mistakes. Then divide by 2. Then a is negative 1. Negative 1. Okay, so negative times negative, you are going to have positive 4. Then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And this gives the x-coordinate as negative 2. So the x-coordinate here is negative 2. So we're going to say negative 2. So make sure that you keep this formula on your fingertips, because this formula is very useful. All right, now that we've found the x-coordinate, we are going to use this same x coordinate to find the y coordinate. So we'll still rely on this equation. So for the y coordinate, we're going to have negative 4x minus x squared. So we are still relying on this equation. So where there's x, because x, we found that x is negative 2, so we're going to replace negative 2. So we're going to have negative 4 times negative 2, the one that we found, this one, minus x, we still replace this one, the negative 2, then squared. Okay, negative, so the answer will be positive. Okay, so negative 4 times 2 is 8, minus negative 2 squared is positive 4. So 8 minus 4 is 4. So meaning here the y coordinate is 4. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, if you're new to this channel, kindly consider subscribing, hit the like button and share.